Hello and welcome. So today I wanted to do a review on the Jedi and Sith Holocrons from Galaxy's Edge. Now there's three different components to this. The Jedi Holocron and the Sith Holocron are sold separately. They come in their own little bags from Black Spire Outfitters. The Holocron or the Kyber crystals are also sold separately. Now, if you watched my review of the lightsaber from Savi's lightsaber builder experience, you remember these crystals were the things that changed the color on the Saudi lightsabers. With the holocrons, they actually have a lot more use. So, Jedi, Sith, and 6 different colors of lightsaber crystal. Yellow, blue, white, green, red, and purple. Technically, there's another, which is a black, which comes in randomly in the reds, with a little note that says you found something special. I'll talk about the black one in just a moment here. So first off, the crystals. There are different cuts on the crystals. Cuts in quotes because they're molded. But here is a skinny one right there. Here's a thick one. And then my blue one here is the damaged or unstable cut. It's kind of a lumpy, there we go, kind of a lumpy cut there. Alright, so 3 different cuts, and the cuts don't mean much. I mean, there's a Reddit board designated to what the different cuts might mean in terms of the voices that are in them. But really, you've just got 3 different cuts. Now, in the crystals also, we're going to look at them in the holocrons in just a moment, that they're going to activate different voices. There is a chip in each one of these crystals. The same chip that tells the lightsaber what color to light up the blade tells the holocrons which voice to play. And all the voices and everything are programmed onto the holocron. So they're on here. They're not on here. There's just an identifying number on here that tells it to activate the right voice. So there are people out there who hack these chips all the time and make it into different voices so they don't have to go back and buy other holocrons. For those of us who don't want to do that, it just means that it's sort of a luck of the draw. You go in and you hope that your white one is going to be an Ahsoka instead of an Emway. And you just guess, and you get what you get. So I got pretty lucky the first time around, but let me go over the voices here. The white one can be an Ahsoka Tano from Clone Wars and Rebels, or it can be a Triet Imwe from Rogue One. Right, the yellow could be Maz from the sequel trilogy, specifically Force Awakens, or it could be a Temple Guard. Mine is a Temple Guard, my white one is Ahsoka. The green could be Qui-Gon from the prequels, or it could be Yoda. Mine is Yoda. The blue, I believe that the 2 options on this are Luke and Obi-Wan. I think that's the case, but mine is Luke, and it's old cranky Luke, so it's Luke from Last Jedi. And then the red ones have a bunch of different versions. The red one could be Darth Sidious. It could be Supreme Leader Snoke, which is the black crystal. It could be Darth Maul. It could be 2 different Vaders, one of which serves as a magic 8-ball and answers questions, and the other one just has quotes. Could be Count Dooku. So there's a lot of different red ones, and we'll cover exactly why in just a moment. And the purple is 2 different Mace Windus. All right, so that's what you end up with the crystals. So let me talk about how to activate them. Both of the holocrons have switches. The Sith switch is the capstone right here. I twist this to turn it on. The Jedi is the corners. There's 2 sets. You have to switch or shift one set of corners, and then you have to switch the other set of corners, and you have to get both of them in order to turn it on. So once you turn it on, the holocrons have a default voice built into them. For the Sith one, it's Darth Bane, which as I understand it is voiced by Mark Hamill, which is kind of cool. And it's neat to see Darth Bane on here. I'll show him to you in just a second, because Darth Bane is one of those characters that never really appears in the movies, though he's technically canon. But he's the one who created the rule of 2, and so it's neat to hear him on here with his sort of parcel-tongue voice. But he's the default on here. Obi-Wan from Clone Wars, I believe, is the default on this, and then they have a function together. So let me load up Darth Bane for you. Okay, twist it, all 4 corners twist, and the holocron grows red. There's 2 little copper sensors in here on the 2 sides that do not contain the hidden door. Let me show you the door real quick. Okay, there's the door where you put the crystals. Okay, so 2 little sensors. You can kind of see the little circle right there I touch both sensors.
Do you know who I am?
Alright, and the last one, he gives you this thing about the rule of 2. Now, I don't have to turn the holocron off, but when I open the door, if I load a purple crystal in, it turns purple. Now, this is the same with the blue, green, yellow, and white. It matches the color to whatever color the crystal is. I mention all those together because it doesn't matter whether it's the blue, green, yellow, or white. As long as you have a Jedi crystal in, all it's going to play is Darth Sidious's voice options, or Emperor Palpatine, rather.
If you will not be turned, you will be destroyed.
Alright, so it really doesn't matter what you put in there. If it's not a red, it's going to read as Emperor Palpatine. If you stick a red in there, the reds will read. So this red right here is Darth Maul.
I doubt that you comprehend the power that is within your grasp.
Alright. So there's Darth Maul. And then we switch the capstone to turn it off. Alright, the Jedi. Switch one set. Switch the other set. It starts to glow blue. Our default on this one is Obi-Wan.
This is Master Obi-Wan Kenobi. I regret to report that both our Jedi Order and the Republic have fallen, with the dark shadow of the Empire rising to take their place.
Alright, so you pop any crystal in there. I'll pop the white one in. Since this is blue, the white crystal still is a light blue, the yellow is still a light blue, the green is sort of an aqua, and the blue is this same dark blue, but here's a white. Okay. The sensors on this are on either side. Again, look for the shadow. Cover both.
I've stood in a world between worlds, where I could hear echoes of the past and see visions of the future through the Force.
Right, and we get Ahsoka. So once again, we don't have to turn the holocron off to switch out the crystal. You just open the door, pop in a new crystal. If you put any of the red ones in, just like that one wouldn't read the Jedi, this one won't read the Sith. So you put any red one in, it turns red. But the voice that you get
Hard to see the dark side
is Yoda talking about the dark side. Alright, the last feature of these, if you have both holocrons without crystals in them, and you turn them on, so that the drawer is, or the little door is face up, and set them on top of each other, oh, come on now. This is one of the tricky things about these. The switches on them have a tendency to turn themselves off just by virtue of sitting on the table.
Jedi and Sith wield the Ashlar and Bogan, the light and the dark. I'm the one in the middle, the Bendu.
Alright, so you put them together. They both turn purple, and you get the Bendu. So, kind of neat features on these. I really like the crystals. My problem with these is if you're using them as a prop, you notice how plasticky looking they look. Especially this one, when it's not turned on. There's the recharge port, by the way, which is actually really nice that they've got recharge in them. But they look kind of plasticky, they look white. I like that they change color and they talk and they breathe, and that's real nice and cool. But if you're going to use it as a prop, it doesn't look very convincing. The other thing about them is you notice how crooked all the corners are. You can't really straighten out the corners. If you straighten out one corner, another corner becomes crooked. Same thing is true to a lesser degree on the Sith Holocron. So the corners are always a little bit wonky unless you're trying to hold them all at the same point or at the same time, and then you're kind of forcing it. Also, the switches, as you saw, were temperamental. With the Jedi one, if you set it down and you put any pressure, it rotates the bottom and it switches itself off. The same is true of the Sith. So they're not perfect. They've got their problems. The switches are temperamental and they look kind of plasticky. But the whole crystal setup, this really gives you, if you did the Saber experience, then these things are really nice to have because they give you a whole lot more options with your crystals. If you didn't do the Saber building experience, then it's just the holocrons, and that might be worth it all by itself. For the amount of tech in these, the price is relatively reasonable. One last thing I wanted to cover. I talked about the black crystals. So the black crystals, the Snoke ones, had a little note in them that said, "You found something special." And they were very rare. Disney only put out a few per day. And there were videos circulating on YouTube saying, go in, shine your flashlight through them, look for that little piece of paper, or look for the off color, see if you can detect the black ones, and you'll find a black holocron or a black Kyber crystal. Disney found out about this, and they still randomly put them in the reds. But what they've started doing is all of the reds now contain a blackout piece of paper to keep you from finding the black holocron crystals. They got tired of people mining those things and selling them on eBay for $300 a pop. And so Disney has, as masters of manufactured rarity that they are, they've gone back in and they've made certain that you can't do that anymore. So here we have it, kind of a neat toy. Again, kind of an unconvincing prop. But a neat toy, neat functionality, and they definitely give you a lot more to do with your Kyber crystals. So here we have the holocrons from Galaxy's Edge. Hope you've enjoyed this. Come back next time and we'll review more stuff.